A federal court in Maryland ruled on Thursday that parents don't have the right to, reading now from Daily Wire, by the way. A federal court in Maryland ruled Thursday that parents don't have the right to opt their children out of a curriculum that includes books about radical gender theory. Biden-appointed Judge Deborah L. Boardman said that parents, quote, asserted due process right to direct their children's upbringing by opting out of a public school curriculum that conflicts with their religious views is not a fundamental right. So just to say that again, the due process right to direct their children's upbringing by opting out of a public school curriculum that conflicts with their religious views is not a fundamental right. So in other words, according to this judge, you, despite what you may think, do not have a fundamental right to decide how you're on your children's upbringing and to take them out of programs that conflict with your own personal values, religious views, and how you want to bring your kids. You don't have that right. You do not have that right. You don't have that right over your child. You don't have that right over your family, according to this judge. Last year, Montgomery County Public Schools introduced 22 new books into elementary age classrooms that featured LGBTQ characters and radical gender theory topics, and then stopped parents from opting their children out of gender and sexuality instruction in March. The move sparked outrage from many religious parents who, along with Beckett Law, filed a lawsuit challenging the district's decision in May. Concerned parents requested a preliminary injunction that would allow them to opt their children out of the LGBTQ curriculum when school begins next week. The district's LGBTQ curriculum is intended to be taught to pre-K through 8th grade students and includes references to sex change procedures, drag queens, intersex identity, gay pride parades, and preferred pronouns, according to National Review. One of the books also says that doctors simply guess a baby's sex when it's born. Beckett Senior Counsel Eric Baxter posted on Thursday, quote, today the district court decided parents have no right to notice when extreme ideology is pushed on their elementary age children during story hour. With the new school year beginning, the case is on the fast track to the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, and the parents plan to appeal the decision. So you notice that as always, the trajectory of these things that I'm always pointing out, but it's very important that we do notice this. But how does it always begin, right? The left does something horrific, and then we point out that they're doing this horrific thing, and then they initially they deny it, and they say, well, we're not doing that, that's crazy. And then eventually, very quickly, and sometimes again, I mean, this is a process that can play out over, these days, this process, it used to take decades for this process to play out. Now it can play out in like 10 minutes. So initially we say, you're doing something horrible, don't do that. And they say, we're not doing that, that's a conspiracy theory. And then quickly after that, they'll say, okay, yeah, we're doing it, but it's good. And then immediately they follow that with, okay, yes, we're doing it, it's good, and it's mandatory. You have to participate. So rapidly it goes from, we're not doing that, it's a conspiracy theory, to, yeah, we're doing it, and it is mandatory. Sit your kids down, they have to be here for it. And that's exactly what's happening here. It wasn't all that long ago that the left would say, I mean, think back to the fight in Florida over the parental rights bill that was named by a propagandist the Don't Say Gay bill, even though it had nothing to do with that at all. But initially their response to that is because that was a bill, legislation, that forbids, sexual instruction on sexuality, gender identity for kids in pre-K through 3rd grade. As I said all along with this bill, the only problem with this bill is that it stops in 3rd grade. And initially they said, well, no one is doing that. No one's trying to talk to pre-K kids about sex. You're crazy. And now in Maryland, they're saying, yeah, we're going to talk to your pre-K student about you're going to talk to your pre-K child, your 4-year-old, about these topics, and you don't have the right to stop us. That's what they're saying. And when they say, what's the other side of that coin? When they say you don't have the right as a parent to opt out of sexual instruction for a 4-year-old, the other side of that coin is you don't have the right to opt out because we have the right to talk to your kids about whatever we want to talk to them about. Well, if you want some good, positive news in the culture war, since Roe v. Wade was overturned, the left has lost their mind. They've made abortion their official sacrament. The pro-life efforts, which are now more important than ever, are booming. You heard that right. Despite the narrative, pro-lifers didn't go away. They have increased in number. As one of the largest pro-life organizations in the world, no one is in a better position than 40 Days for Life to end abortion in each state in a post-Roe America. 40 Days for Life is changing hearts and minds in the most blue pro-abortion states. They've had a record number of locations since Roe was overturned, and they grew in both volunteers and locations. With about 1 million volunteers in 1,500 cities, they hold peaceful vigils outside abortion facilities. You can help them fight the ongoing legal battles by protecting free speech for their volunteers by giving a tax-deductible gift of any amount at 40daysforlife.com. That's 40daysforlife.com. And these parents in Maryland, all they're saying is, look, you want to talk about this stuff in school, go ahead and do it. Just let us pull our kids out. Okay? They're being much more moderate than I would be. Because my view is they don't talk to us about any kids, you freaks. Don't have this conversation with any kids. You should be banned from talking about it at school. The parents are just saying, okay, we're not even challenging you talking about it. We just want to pull our own kids out. That's it. And that's not good enough. Remember the trans activist in the last story said, well, there are reasonable criticisms. Well, we would certainly be okay with reasonable criticisms. But you think if there was any kind of position or criticism on the other side that they would be willing to admit is at least reasonable, it would be something like this. It's this kind of like compromised position. Yeah, you could talk about all this disgusting stuff with kids, but if I'm a parent and I don't want my kid to be a part of it, just let me pull them out. If they were willing to agree that anything is reasonable, then you would think that they would say, okay, fine, that's reasonable. I don't agree, but I think that the public school should groom all the kids, but yeah, okay, it's reasonable if you want to pull your kids out. But they're not willing to accept that even that is reasonable. Because like I just said, you go along with everything they do and say all the time in every case, and you are 100% obedient, or you are a genocidal, transphobic, bigoted, maniac killer. Like those are the two options. You bow before them, you offer your children up to them as sacrifices on their altar. Or you're a transphobe bigot and you should be dead. Two options. Those are the two options that they leave. Which is why all the alleged radicalization that they pretend to care about on the right, if it is happening, guess whose fault it is? It's your fault. Because you've left, for conservatives, you've only left two options. You've said, we got to go along with your entire agenda, or we're transphobic, bigot extremists. And so a lot of us are saying, okay, well, I guess I'm a transphobic, bigot extremist then. And then there are people who say, well, if I'm already that, no matter what, then, well, okay. Here's the crazy thing. When you label everything extremism, then you end up getting a lot more actual extremism. How many of these parents are now going to be radicalized by this? There's going to be a radicalizing moment for a lot of these parents who didn't start with any kind of radical position. All they wanted to do was opt their kids out. Now they're being told they don't have the right to. It's going to radicalize a lot of them, and it should, frankly. Radicalize them in favor of the truth, being radically in favor of the truth. If you'd like to see what else I have to say, you can access my full show by going to dailywire.com or by going to the Matt Walsh Show Twitter page. Hope to see you there. Godspeed.